Hey guys, I will give people just a second to come in. Oh my goodness, it's Sunday. I hope that all of you had a wonderful Sunday. And most of you are probably relaxing and enjoying your Sunday afternoon. Um, I don't like lives, I don't like doing them, but sometimes you just have to be obedient. And a lot of times there are things that are in us um, that can help somebody else. And so when we know that we've experienced something or we've gone through something that can help somebody else and we choose not to share it, then we become hoarders of the word that has been implanted in us. And so I never want to be in a position that I have something to share that maybe can help somebody else. So that's why I'm doing this live. As I stated, I do not like going live, but nonetheless, I am here. I see that there are some people on. If you would say hello in the comments so I can see who I am talking to because I cannot see who is on the live. Hey, Jan. Nice to see you. Miss Fashion Modelista. I follow you. I don't comment a lot, but I'm so proud of just you following your dreams. I remember when you were still in Dothan and we were in Dothan, how much you talked about, wanting to pursue modeling. And I'm so happy that you are following your heart and you are doing what you feel is best for you. Like, I'm really, really proud of you. I just don't comment on Facebook because that's just not my jam. So since you're here, I can tell you, I'm proud of you, girl. You are killing it. We'll wait just maybe another minute or two for people to get notifications. Um, and then I will share what I have to say, and then I'm gonna hop off so I can go eat. Oh my goodness. Oh, you're welcome, Jan. You are so welcome, girl. You are so welcome. You are so welcome. So, if you have any friends or if you know any single mothers of boys, please tag them in this. And it can even be married women who maybe they're not with the father of their boys. Tag them, definitely reshare this. Um, and I would really, really appreciate it. So, why am I on here? So, I wanted to share like I said, sometimes we go through things and people don't know that we've gone through certain things, or we don't think that what we have gone through, just sharing it, how sometimes that testimony, how sometimes just that little bit of knowing your trial, how that can be a blessing and beneficial to somebody else. And so I wanted to get on here and just share, again, just a little bit about a part of my journey over the last couple of weeks. So most of you know I have two boys, young men. Cameron will be 19, y'all. Cameron will be 19 next month, and Makyron, Kai, turned 16 on the 25th, which I believe was Tuesday before last Tuesday. He turned 16 on the 25th. Um, I have been a single mother to them for 16 years. So Kai was 1 and Cameron was 3 when I got divorced from their father. So 16 years, it's just been me and them. I've been single the majority of that time. So it wasn't one of those situations where they had a stepfather or where they had someone who was a male that was in the picture that was helping me with them. Now, their father is involved in their life. He has been a huge support system for them. However, when you are a single mother, and I know that I'm not just speaking for me, but I feel that a lot of us, whether you have boys or girls, when you're a single mom, we pour everything that we have into our children. We make sure that they have everything that they need. And sometimes we try to overcompensate. We will go above and beyond and even do it out ourselves to make sure that our children have. I think it's just natural. I'm definitely guilty. For the last 16 years, it's been all about my boys. Anybody that knows me knows I've poured everything that I have into them. And anybody that knows them can also affirm that they are good boys. They help around the house. They're really good boys. And I know a lot of that has to do with what I've instilled and what I've poured into them. So to kind of tie it all together, Kai, probably since he was probably 8 or 9, um, he's been asking, Mom, I want to go live with my dad. Can I go live with my dad? I'm like, boy, no, you can't go live with your daddy. And it was just no, no. So let's have an honest moment, because we can be cool, right? We cool. I can be honest. My reason for telling him no, why he couldn't go live with his father, a lot of that had to do with me still being bitter. We had been divorced at that point 8 years, but I was still bitter. I was bitter because I didn't think it was fair that I had to put my life on hold to raise these kids while you go off and do whatever it is you want to do. I didn't think it was fair that I would work 2 jobs or whatever I had to do to pay for basketball, to pay for football, to pay for, a science camp, to pay for whatever it was that they needed. I didn't think it was fair. So my way of punishing him, in a sense, was no, he can't come live with you. I wanted to still have control over that situation. And I know that I'm not the only one that has done that. And so I realized that by me being bitter and me being angry, I had to heal. And so we don't want to look ourselves in the mirror and acknowledge the fact that there's still some brokenness in me from whatever that situation may have been with their father. We get upset, if they have a relationship and we're still single. We just do, because how you got somebody and I'm still by myself? I said it, like, and she ain't even cute. We've been there. Like, don't let them get in a relationship. Like, and sometimes, I never did this, but I know sometimes as single moms, when our children are going to see their father and we find out that they're in a relationship, why is it that we then want to keep the children from the father because they're with somebody else? That's not right. That's not right. Now, I understand if maybe she's mistreating them or whatever the case may be. But most times that's not the situation. Like, they're not there to cause any issues or cause any drama. It's because we are still bitter and we're still broken. And so now we spew our poison into that relationship, and we think that we're punishing the father, but in all actuality, we are punishing the children because, well, you can't go to your daddy house this weekend. And the reason may be because we're still angry. And so I had to look at Holly in the mirror and realize that my reasonings for when Kai was younger, for not allowing him to go live with his father, had nothing to do with his dad. It was me, because I'm mad and he can't come live with you. And sometimes too, I think that we feel that nobody can do it better than me, right? Like, I'm a mama. I know how to do this. You can't parent him better than I parent him. You don't know what he needs, and so we become self-righteous and thinking that we are the only parent that is capable of loving them. We are the only parent that's capable of teaching them. We are the only parent that is even capable of loving them. And that's just not the case. So Kai asked me again, about going to live with his dad. Mom, can I go live with my dad? And mind you, Kai's about to be 16. Well, he wasn't 16 yet. And when he asked me, he already know. He was like, before you even answer, he said, just think about it. And what was funny, when he came to me, he was like, Mom, I want to ask you something, but don't get mad. And so I'm thinking, What you about to ask me that's gonna cause me to get mad? And then when he asked me again about going to live with his dad, I was like, wow, do have I responded in anger before when he asked me? Like, why would his statement be, I need to ask you something, but before I do, don't get mad? And so he was like, I want to go live with my dad. And my heart, it still, it was hard. So I said, you know what, Kai, I'm not just going to say no, but I need to pray about it. I need to think about it because this is huge. It's you going to live with your father. And he said, okay. I thought he was going to bug me about it, but he didn't. He didn't ask me again. He just said, okay, mama, I'll leave it alone. And so I'm in prayer because, Kai is my baby. We're not talking about you going to stay for the summer. We're talking about you living, like you moving to live with your dad. And so I'm in prayer, like, okay, God, I don't know what to do. And so the Holy Spirit asked a question. And I was like, okay, Holy Spirit, I'm listening. The Holy Spirit asked me to think about an unselfish reason why he couldn't go. Are y'all hearing me? Holly, I know you're concerned. I know you're worried. But give an unselfish reason why Kai can't go live with his father. I didn't have one. Every reason that I had as to why I thought Kai didn't need to go live with his father was selfish. It was all about me. It was about me not wanting him to leave because that's my baby. It was about me feeling like, oh, I'm not good enough. Why you want to go live with your daddy? I'm doing this, making sure you got basketball. I'm working this, doing that, trying to make sure that we can pay for this. Like, it was me, 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 me. And I feel like to some degree, I was justified in how I felt. I was justified in how I felt, but it doesn't mean that I was right. Being justified and being right is not the same thing because I was dead wrong. I was dead wrong. And as single moms, we don't oftentimes look at how that father can play an impact in their lives. Now, don't get me wrong. I know there are situations where it's just unhealthy for them to live with their father. That's not what I'm talking about. I am not talking about those unhealthy situations. I'm not talking about those fathers who, you don't know where they're laying their head at night. No, 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 no. I'm talking about, that boy has a good dad in his life. He has a good dad. And the other thing that we have to be careful of, we have to be careful that we don't try to measure them up to our standards. I can't measure his father up to what my standard is, right? If he's a good father, he's involved, and he's doing the best he can, who am I to say you're not good enough to raise your child? This gonna make some of y'all mad. I don't care, because somebody need to hear this. Somebody needs to hear that you are dead wrong for trying to measure up that child's father to your standard. You are not God. And I had to look in the mirror and say, you know what, Holly, you are not God. You are not God. So I told Kai, he was like, he came to me, he was like, so mama, you gonna let me go live with my dad? I said, well, I will at least call him and have a conversation. Because before, there was nothing to even talk about. The answer is no, and that's that. So I said, okay, I had to get my heart right because I can be a little feisty. And I wanted to make sure that my conversation with him was about Kai and not about me or any unresolved areas that I had, because it was about Kai, it wasn't about me. So we set up a time to talk, about Kai going to live with him. And so I said, so Kai's asking to come live with you. And I think that he was really surprised because he knows me and he knows that consistently for the last couple of years, my answer has been no. And so I told him, I said, I am considering it. I can't say that it's yes right now. And so I'm very analytical. And so in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, I tell you what, I'm going to come up, I'm going to ask him these good questions. And if he don't respond to my questions the way that I need him to respond, Kai can't go. That he ain't going. And so the first thing that I brought up was basketball. Basketball is Kai's life. And that was a non negotiable for me. If he's going to come and live with you, then I need to make sure that you have a plan for him to get back connected with basketball, because Kai is going into his junior year after this year. He has a guaranteed spot on varsity, so I'm like, he's giving up a varsity spot, guaranteed spot, to move, and he may or may not make the team. Like, I just don't want him to miss out on his athletics because of this. And so I'm thinking he gonna have all of these excuses, because when your kids are involved in sports, that's your whole world. I can't tell you how many times I've slept in my car because I've gotten off work and then Kyle got practice for 2 or 3 hours, and it's just easier to just stay at the practice. I will sleep in the car because I'm just tired. But it's the sacrifices that we make as parents. Like, I never was unhappy. I never complained because we got practice 4 days this week, or I got to come back and pick you up at 9 o'clock at night. That's just what I did. And so in talking to him, I was like, I need you to understand that if he plays practice, if he plays basketball, especially with him playing on varsity, there's practices, it's not cheap. Basketball shoes these days, $120, $130. There's a fair share. Like, there's a lot of expenses that goes into basketball. And so I'm thinking he gonna say, well, I don't know if I can commit to that, yada, yada, yada. This brother told me, he was like, oh no, Holly. He said, I understand. And he was talking about how his wife, her family is very involved and they can help, and so I was like, dang, thinking to myself, well, he passed that one. I checked that box. And let me say something else too. When you have children, and this goes for girls too, but mainly I'm talking about boys because I have boys and this is the situation that I deal with. Stop being mean to that man's new wife. Stop being mean. Whether he has a new girlfriend, whether he has a new wife, whatever that situation is, sis, stop being mean. And I am thankful that was never a situation I had with her. Um, I didn't know about her initially. This was a couple of years back. And I can be honest, I was mad. Like, how you got this woman around my boys and you ain't tell me about it? That, I was still healing, y'all. But when I tell you, she is good to them. And sometimes with us, we don't want another woman parenting our children. I don't understand that. Help me understand. If she's not mistreating them, if she's loving them as her own, if she is involved, why do we as women, why y'all so mean and nasty to this man's other life? Stop. It's not fair. He has moved on. You need to move on, sis. You need to heal. Because if she is willing to accept him and the children, you wrong. Because I would think that if I get in a relationship and that man has children, I want to be accepted. I want us to be able to talk about whatever's going on with the kids, because it is a community. But when you get mad because you find out that your kid's father has moved on, you need to heal. There's still some unresolved issues there. But my boy's dad, his wife, and her family, they are awesome to my boys. And so that was the other thing too. I asked him, I said, so have you spoke to your wife about Kai coming to live, with you? And he was like, yeah, she's on board, won't be an issue. And so again, my first question was just like about, so he got practice, non-negotiable. If Kai's coming, I need to make sure that he's get connected to the basketball team. I need it all done so that he can continue playing basketball. He was like, not a problem. I'm gonna make sure that we do whatever we need to do to get him back involved in basketball. He can come early, so that they can do summer tryouts, and a lot of times they have summer workouts. Like, he answered everything I needed here. Boom, check that box. So I was like, okay, then what else? Because I still need a reason to say no, right? So I'm going to go find me one. This is what I'm thinking. So the second thing that I asked him about was, academics, if because Kai's my child that if he sometimes he needs a little help, and I'm mama. I can help him. I know how to help him with his homework. I know how to help him with schoolwork, whatever it is, because I'm the mama, and I need to make sure that you guys are ready for this 11th grade work. And so he was like, don't worry about that either, because I didn't know. So Kai stayed with him for a couple of months back in March when COVID first happened. Like Kai was like, I'm out. So he went and stayed with his dad for a couple of months, and everything was online. And he was like, he was having issues with some subject, and he got him a tutor. So I had to find my face and put it back on because my face just fell off. I didn't know he got him a tutor. And so he was like, if it comes down to where he needs extra help in school, I'll get him a tutor. So I was like, dang, check. I'm just trying to check the box. So my third one, I had one more. I had one more ram in the bush to try and have a reason why he can't go. And so I talked to him. I was like, our faith is important to us. Kai being involved in church or youth group, all of that is important. And I need to make sure that he remains connected to a church or youth group. I need him to be connected spiritually some kind of way. And so he was telling me, I think his wife's uncle or somebody in his wife's family has a church or they go to a church. But he was like, of course, I'll make sure that he stays active in church, whatever he needs, I'll make sure he has it. So I had all of these three questions and I was just ready because let me tell you how growth works. In the past, had me and his dad had this conversation, I'll say maybe 6, 7 years ago, it would have turned into an argument. Number one, I was still immature. And like I told y'all, I had to heal. I didn't realize I needed to heal, but there was a lot of healing that needed to take place in me. And then his dad had some growing to do. Like, we just cannot sit down and have a cordial conversation without one of us getting upset. So I was even surprised at how well the conversation went. Um, and then when I told him that I wasn't sure if I was going to let him come, a part of me was expecting him to challenge that, and be like, well, I'm his dad, he can come live with me. He didn't. He gave me the space that I needed to really be able to process what that means for me and what that means for Kai. And so I continued to think about it. I couldn't come up with an unselfish reason why he couldn't go. And then I realized how much of my identity was tied up in being a mom. Because when you are a single mom, your identity sometimes have to become that because that's all we know. I didn't know, and Cam is still here, but Cam like almost 19. And I think that was the other part of it too that made it more challenging for me is because Cam, because of COVID, he was able to stay home for his first semester and a half of school. So he's going into his sophomore year, sophomore and a half, something like that. But he leaves in August to go on campus. And so a part of me was like, so Cam is going to be gone in August. And now my baby wants to leave. So I'm going to be here by myself. Can I be honest with y'all? I no. I've been a mom for 19 years. I've been a single mom for 16. Everything about me was consumed in those boys. And so I had to come to the realization that there is more to Holly than being a mother. I'm more than just a mother. But I couldn't see that because I ate, I sleep, I breathe my kids. Why? Because they are mine. They didn't ask to be here. So it is my responsibility to pour everything that I have in them. And it is hard. A lot of times people look at us and they're like, well, you can't date because you got them kids. You know what? You might be right. Because I'm not going to sacrifice my children for a relationship. It's just a non-negotiable. And that does not mean that we as single mothers don't want relationships. That's absolutely not true. But a lot of times, because of how busy their schedules are, We ain't got time. Between the practices, between going here, they need this, need that. And we work. Single moms are some of the what's the word? I don't want to call us hustlers because it's not hustlers. But I can't think of another word. So I'm gonna use the word hustler. And what I mean by that is it doesn't matter to us if we have to work 10 jobs and we don't sleep. We are going to go above and beyond to make sure that our kids have what they need, right? And so when I started thinking about what my life has looked like the last 16 years, every decision that I've made, I had them in mind. When I left Alabama and moved to Florida, I had them in mind. And that was one of the hardest things I ever had to do was leave my dad because my mom had been dead like a year. And I felt guilty that I am leaving my dad, but what about my boys? I needed to provide them a better life. And Alabama was okay, but we just needed something different. Um, and I did that for them. And so I had to look at myself and ask myself, well, Holly, if you say that everything that you do, every decision you make, if it's truly about them, why can't Kai go live with his dad? Y'all, that ate me up because I'm saying everything's about my kids, but when it's about them for real, when a decision that I need to make for them doesn't benefit me, now it's a hard decision to make because that whole thing was about me. And I can be honest and say a part of me needed to have that identity, right? And no, them being gone out of my house does not negate me or remove me as being their mother. But them not being in the home is totally different because now a lot of times we as single moms being busy and the things that our kids have going on, it's a convenient distraction. It is a convenient distraction if I can be busy doing everything with them. I'm busy with this, I'm busy with that. It prevents me from being able to really look at me and maybe what I should be doing in my own life. And that's where I was. And so I had to think about, well, what is that going to mean? If I allow Kai to go live with his father, boom, he's out my house. Cameron leaves to go to school in the fall, boom, he's out my house. Who's gonna be left? And when you've had your kids with you, especially when you're a single mom, like it's like this. Me and my boys are really, really close, like because you have to make it work, right? And then a lot of times too, we become in survival mode, right? We get so busy and so caught up in doing everything for them that the thought of us being left to ourselves is scary. The thought of me being by myself is scary, right? Because I can even remember how hard it was when they would like go for the holidays. Because I always let them, go with their dad like for Christmas or spring break and then the summer. And that was hard. As much as I enjoyed the break of not having to go and not having to do, man, I need my boys at home. Like, I would get depressed. Why would I get depressed? Because I'm left to deal with me. And it's not a comfortable feeling when the chaos of our busyness is silent, when the noise of the distractions, those convenient distractions, are no longer there. And you have to come to a place to where, again, if we're talking about we are doing what's in the best interest of our kids, sometimes we have to make a decision that causes us pain. Can I be honest with y'all? So I finally, I had I came to a place of peace, right, with letting Kai go live with his dad. But it was confusing for me because I had peace, but I was grieving. Like he hadn't even left. So I told his dad, yeah, I'll let him come. And so we started figuring out, dates when he could come. And when I told Kai, I said, okay, Kai, I will agree. And I made out, everything that I needed. And I told him my only condition was if for whatever reason you don't make the basketball team and basketball does not work out, you will come home because you need to finish out, this is your door. And so if you don't work out with basketball, you will come home because you got a guaranteed varsity spot on the team here in Gainesville. And so we were all in agreement. I don't have any doubts that Kyle, will make the team or anything like that. But that was just my only condition. Um, and so a part of me had peace in the fact that I made a big girl decision, right? But the other part of me, I grieved like he was dead. And that I didn't understand why it hurt so bad. I think that I'm just not even doing this live because I couldn't even talk about it without crying. Like even now I think about it and I get all teary eyed. It was so hard for me. Like I cried, like boohoo, cried myself to sleep many nights just thinking about Kai leaving. And I had to pray about that, and I really had to give that to God because I was not sure why this bothered me so bad. And then I came to the realization that um, my previous pastor, Hart Ramsey, said something one time. He said that grief is the heart's way of trying to find the easiest way of letting go. And so I was grieving him because I had to let him go. Y'all, whew, you never want to let your kids go. And I think for me, I didn't imagine me having an empty nest so young in my life. Like I'm 39, I'll be 40 in December. I don't think I was prepared for emptiness. Like I was ready for Cam to leave because I got 3 more years with Kai. I was not ready. And so I began to grieve him. Um and I had to really work through that because it was almost like a debilitating grief. Like it was not easy. And so we worked through it, and then things would happen, and it would kind of stir up the grief again. Like when we started going through his clothes, what's too little, what you not taking, what you taking. Like that did something for me, but I never let him see me cry. Like I think he knew that it bothered me, but I'm like, gotta be strong. I can't let him see me cry. But when you're a mom, you're a mom. So he left, not this past Friday, but the Friday before. We packed up, took him, met his dad halfway. And when I hugged him, y'all, I lost it. I just, I boohooed like a baby. And I think it shocked him and it shocked his dad because I'm not really a crybaby. And I don't cry in front of people. That's just not my thing. But I cried so hard. And Kai was just like, Mama, it's going to be okay. And even thinking about it, y'all, I'm so sorry. But the reason I wanted to do this live was because I know how hard it can be as a single mom. It is hard. And to have to make a decision to let your children go, man, that is hard. But the reason why I did it, because somebody been saying, well, how did you still so jacked up about it? Why did you do it? Because it wasn't about me. God deserves the right to be with his father. And we as women, sometimes we think, oh, I can teach him how to be a man. No, I can't. I cannot teach him how to be a man. I can teach him how to be respectful. I can teach him how to treat women. I can teach him how to be a good person, but I cannot teach him how to be a man. And so allowing him to go live with his father wasn't about me. And what I refuse to have happen is he look back on his life and he resents me for not giving him the opportunity to go live with another parent. That's selfish. So, yes, it hurts. And yes, I cry every time I think about it. But how selfish of a mother would I be to deny him the opportunity to live with his father? That's not my decision to make. But there are so many single women who are so bitter and so angry. And you think you hurting that man by keeping your kids from him. You're not hurting him. You hurting your children. And it is selfish. And it is not right. It's not right. And so I know that I'll get better. I'll heal. And it's not always gonna be this rough. But I'm gonna tell you what gave me even more peace. Kai texted me and he was like, Mom, I'm just checking on you. And I text him back, a bunch of sad faces. And he was like, I appreciate you for letting me go live with my dad. He said that I know that it was hard for you, but he said, I really appreciate it. And then the last thing that he said, he was like, I just want you to know that I'm going to make you proud. Y'all, woo. Sometimes we don't think that the work that we've done goes unnoticed. Our children watch us. They know that we don't rest. They know that we work 2, 3 jobs. They know that we don't have a life. They know the sacrifices that we've made. But if we are going to continue to make sacrifices, sis, you got to sacrifice yourself. You have to sacrifice your feelings. You have to allow them the opportunity to do what's in their best interest. Their best interest may not be yours, and that's okay. What's best for them may not be best for you. Kyle living with his father, it was not best for me. I need you here. Like, Kyle, my little buddy. But it was best for him. And so again, I just wanted to come on here and just encourage a mom that may be facing the same situation. I know girls are different. As far as allowing them to go and live. But sometimes it's even about you allowing them to go and you know, stay for the summer or stay during a break. You're not punishing nobody but those kids. And it's not right. Um, so I'm gonna be okay. I have to definitely figure out who Holly is now that my nest is going to be empty in a couple of months. And that's still a work in progress because I've been a mom and I've poured everything that I've had into them. And I don't regret 16 years that I've spent, 19 with Cam, giving them everything that I have because they're awesome humans because of that sacrifice. So now what do I do? I don't know. I'll figure that out, along the path, but make decisions that are beneficial for your children. Some decisions that you make are going to hurt. This one hurts, y'all. This one hurts. But like I said, it wasn't about me. I had to do what was in the best interest of him and make a big girl decision. He can always come back. I don't know, how it works out. He may get there and decide he want to come home. I'm okay with that. But what I won't do is tell him, oh, I told you so. You just had, no, I'm not going to do that. Welcome him back, if that's what happens. Because again, we have to be careful what we speak out of our mouths because we may just say something that we think is, innocent or whatever the case may be, and it crushes them. If my boy's dad could get on here, he will tell you I've never spoken bad about him. And some of his family is watching, they'll tell you. Me and him have never had a complicated relationship for the most part. Post our divorce, our goal was to parent. No matter how much I disliked what he was doing, no matter how angry I was, I never spoke bad about him to my children. I refuse to do that because who am I to speak out of my hatred? Who am I to speak from a place of bitterness and spew that over them? They get old enough, they determine what kind of relationship they want to have with their dad. They determine his character. And so that's something else that we have to be careful. I know you're hurting. I know you're angry, but stop talking negative about that man to your kids. If you need a vent, go get you a therapist. I'm a therapist. Inbox me. Let's work through that. But don't speak negatively about their father to them, because you're just sowing negative seeds of discord, and that's not your place. You know what I learned to do? I learned to pray for him. If there are things that were going on that I didn't agree with, I prayed for him, and that was hard, to be able to pray for somebody you really don't like. And there was a time I didn't like him, but we have a good relationship. You know, when I step back and look at how much we've both grown over the years, I can say that I had to heal so that I could pray for him, and so that I could be in a better place so that this day would come, because God knew that the day would come that Kai was going to go live with his father. And if I'm still angry and I'm still bitter and I still have all of these unresolved issues, I would have made that man's life a living hell. I would have made his, I would have let him go, but I'm gonna make your life miserable. I'm gonna call, I'm gonna text. No, nope. I have peace, and I know that he's in good hands. But it just took me working on me to get there, and that's sometimes what we have to do. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. I'm super private. I'm telling y'all, I do not do lives. Look, y'all got me here sweating, especially when it comes to my personal business, because that's just not who I am. But I felt like this is something that could help somebody that's watching, or somebody that may watch it later. So I appreciate you guys listening to me vent. Keep your girl prayed for, cover me, because I am still, trying to adjust to him being gone, because he's gone. And then Cameron leaves in August. So I may be back in August to do another live when Cam is gone, because the nest will be empty. But, I trust that God has a plan for all of it. So again, thank you for watching. Love you guys. Be safe. Have a great afternoon. Bye.